Hello everybody, happy Sunday. Thank you for being here in any capacity that you can. Whether that's live, whether that's sharing or telling somebody about our meditation, about our stream or the weekly videos, or interacting with them any way that you are able to be here. Thank you. Had a little hiccup when I first started. So we go live on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, right? And Facebook was live for like 2 minutes and then it cut out. So I just ended the stream and then came right back into it. So I have it pinned in the comment, but if at any time Facebook seems funky or Instagram, bop over to YouTube. That is the number one, the main platform, and seems to be the most reliable. I don't know what happens with Facebook sometimes. Instagram seems to be fine, but every once in a while Facebook just kind of like boots the stream even though it seems like it's going here. So yeah, happy Sunday. Thank you for being here and happy full moon. I'm going to go ahead and put the intention up here for those of you who have not seen it yet. Intentions are always released Friday. That way you have some time to sit with it yourself before you have any input from me. The weekly video comes out Saturday morning, so you can have the intention while you walk through the week and just see what pings for you, see what comes up, anything at all. If not, that's something to note too, right? And then we come together here to the meditative space and we contemplate on it. We look at the intention, maybe look at the astrology from a little bit more specific lens rather than where we look at it a more broad picture in the weekly video. So yeah, just hoping to create a nice process and a step-by-step like kind of intro to stepping into that conversation between you and the astrology, you and what is going on around you, speaking with the universe, speaking with your higher self, taking the symbolism from the astrology and seeing where you feel it playing out in your life and, just rolling with it, having that conversation. It makes it much, much more personal. So this week, the Awakener stirs. The Awakener stirs. The Awakener stirs. So maybe that makes some of us excited. Maybe it makes some of us a little bit nervous. Maybe it's a combination. So today we have the full moon in the sign of Leo. I just need to adjust my things here a minute. Sorry, things restarted here, so I just need to adjust my screens to where I normally have them. And we're going to get into all of this. So we have the Leo full moon that came through today, a couple hours ago. So happy full moon to all of you. That is our first aspect that we're going to look at. I'm going to go ahead and put the chart up here like I usually do. And you can see that the moon in the sign of Leo is at 15 degrees in the 12th house in this chart. The sun is in opposition at 13 degrees. So just a few hours ago, we had that full moon come through. So we are definitely within that full moon energy here. I want to point out all the planets that we have in the sign of Aquarius, right? I think I did this on the weekly video as well, but we've been talking about this stellium of planets. All the personal planets are there. Mercury is going to move into Pisces at the end of this week, which is going to start to lessen that a little bit. However, we have the next lunar cycle that begins with the new moon in the sign of Aquarius. That is a solar eclipse. So we're going to start moving into the eclipse cycles in the Aquarius Leo axis. So although the personal planets are going to shift out of there in that like immediate or that acute interaction is going to start to move out of the way, we have this more long-term and a little bit of longevity in the sign of Aquarius and Leo. But we have this pile up here right now, right? And then the moon is always in opposition to the sun at a full moon. However, just look how it's sitting over there by itself, right? We haven't had any Leo activity since closer to like Leo season. So this is the first like direct Leo energy that we've had in a while. And then if we go ahead and move forward here, Uranus, the Awakener, becomes our focus for this week here. So if I go ahead and move forward just a couple days to February 3rd, this is Tuesday, you will see that Uranus is stationing to move from the retrograde period into the direct period, moving into direct motion, moving forward again this week. So Monday, Tuesday, Uranus is stationing. By the end of Wednesday, Uranus is in direct motion here. As it moves stations, slow downs, moves direct, It's going to start to get squares this week here from Mercury and from Venus. So keep your eye on Uranus at 27 degrees of Taurus in the 9th house here. And then take a look at Aquarius here again. We have Mercury and we have Venus in the early third deck, in the early 20s degrees of Aquarius here. If we go ahead and move forward, we have Wednesday into Thursday. Mercury is going to go ahead and move through that square. And then by Saturday, Venus moves through that square to Uranus. So really, these are the things that we're focusing on here this week. The fact that we have the Leo full moon coming through here today. Uranus is moving direct. Mercury is going to move into the sign of Pisces. I'm not focusing so much on that. But then as Uranus stations to go direct, it gets these squares from Mercury and from Venus. So the Awakener stirs, right? The Awakener stirs because it goes from the retrograde period into the direct motion, right? So there's an awakening here that happens when Uranus is in the retrograde period. Things can be more internalized, right? Things can be shifting within us. Maybe we have internal reactions to external circumstances that are happening around us. The changes are maybe a little bit quieter, maybe a little softer, and a little harder for some people to see. They might be a little bit more behind the scenes. If it seems like things were shifting and things were changing during the direct period when the retrograde period came about, which was like early September of 2025, then maybe it seemed like that progress slowed down a little bit and we weren't moving quite so quickly. Maybe those genius ideas and those thoughts and those, those little lightning strikes weren't coming quite so much in such a loud way, but maybe we were feeling them a little bit more internally through that retrograde period. Now we're coming back into that direct motion again, where things are going to start to move forward. And those shifts might be externalized a little bit more, right? This direct motion period is going to take us through those last degrees of Taurus for Uranus. So for many of us, depending on how old we are and how long we're going to live, for many of us, this is the last time we're going to have Uranus in the sign of Taurus, because it takes over 80 plus years for Uranus to make its way around the zodiac. So for many of us, these are our last days with Uranus in the sign of Taurus. This will take us through the end of April, April 25th to 26th, depending on your location and your time zone there. So there's this last push. There's this last push for things to be able to move and to shift and change in the sign of Taurus, which Uranus has been there since 2018. And if we look at the house topics of Taurus, there's been lots of shifts. There's been lots of changes, right? There's been maybe some erratic things. Maybe there's been some unpredictable things that are moving backwards and forward, but we've learned a lot, right? There's an enlightenment that can come with Uranus, even if things feel like they crash down around you at some point in time. So I'm wondering about, with Uranus moving direct here through this last pass through Taurus, where are the poles? Where are we feeling any sort of pulls to have these shifts move into the tangible forms, move into their final form for the sign of Taurus, so to say? When I say tangible and forms, this is an earth sign, right? Things are tangible, things we can feel, things that we can observe with our senses. There's a very sensual energy in the sign of Taurus. There is wanting things to be enjoyable, wanting things to be able to be cohesive, right? So maybe some of the breakthroughs have been coming through have been because we are looking for more peace, or we're looking for more stability or more enjoyment in this house area of our lives in some sort of way here. But that last push to get that through here, right? Bringing it into full tangible forms that we can really embody, that we can really feel, and that we can really say that we can put our hands on it in some sort of way. Now that doesn't mean it has to be a physical thing, like a table, something that you can smell, right? Deals with the senses. Something that you can taste, right? Food is one of the things that you find in the sign of Taurus here. Things of the material world, right? Things that we can measure, not necessarily measure like with our bodies, kind of like that. So this is the space that we're coming into with Uranus moving direct. So that Awakener is stirring. As it stirs, it is prodded and it is stimulated by Mercury, the planet of the mind, thoughts, communications, perceptions, right? The way we talk, the way we communicate. Venus, our desires, the things that we want, our relationships, the places where we find balance, the places where we desire to find balance. Remember that Venus rules the sign of Taurus, so there's a special connection between Venus and Uranus here during the time of this aspect. So we are newly moving forward with Uranus, right? We are being poked and prodded and stimulated with Uranus moving forward by these personal planets. These personal planets also are in the process of emerging under the beams of the sun as evening stars. So they are coming into their own. They're coming into their own new path. And things that may have been working behind the scenes for them might now start to be externalized a little bit more. They might be able to be seen by those that are in the external world. They might be able to be felt. There might be ripples that are coming outward a little bit for them. So there's this stirring, right? There's this awakening as these planets come into this square with Uranus, as Uranus, the planet of awakening, right? Of understandings and enlightenments coming through just downloads and understandings and aha moments, like where the light bulb goes off, right? Now the changes aren't always that ideal, right? They can be things that feel a little bit turbulent at the same times when things that are surprising or shocking happen, or we feel like something has already went through its process and then it comes back up again. It's like, surprise, there it is, the Jack in the Box once more there for you. So it's not that it's necessarily all like understandings and enlightenments and like, now I understand, you know, the great mysteries of whatever the thing is that you're looking into, right? Like, I understand the world completely. It's not always quite like that. It can be glimpses of that, absolutely. But there's this stirring. The Awakener stirs. And what is stirring within you, right? What is stirring within your own being, within those visceral feelings, the things that you can feel within your body, right? So bringing back those senses, the things that you can touch, the things that you can smell, the things that you can see, the things that you can hear, the things that you can measure with your own being, even if there's not necessarily like you know, like a mathematical measurement that comes along with them. Now, before all of that, this week we have the Leo full moon, right? We don't forget about that. We have that coming through here today. So the Awakener stirs here. We talked about that concentration of energy that we have in the sign of Aquarius right now, in the place of Saturn, right? The middle of winter. There is much to look forward to in the sign of Aquarius. There is much looking towards the ideal path and wanting to move towards the light. However, we are still immersed within the darkness, right? That's why there is the motivation or the prompt to look towards the ideal, because we're in a space of darkness. We need to preserve the light, or we need to bring back the light, right? Or we need to move towards the light. Those are where you get the Aquarian ideologies and those idealisms that can come with the sign of Aquarius here. It's very community-based in the sign of Aquarius. It's very broad spectrum. It's very looking at the whole wide picture. It's looking at the boundaries in the sign of Aquarius, right? It's looking at where we are now and what is beyond that. Within that, you can get things that feel a little eccentric, or things that feel a little unconventional, right? Things that are a little bit off the beaten path, but they're usually for a bigger, broader, collective amount, right? We can all be unique, we can all be individual, but we have to do it together as a group, right? Kind of like that. It's the place of Saturn, it's the middle of winter, right? Things are dying and things are falling away. In the sign of Leo, where the full moon is here, in this moment of darkness, in this season of darkness, in this place in the middle of winter where we are reaching towards the light, but the light still may feel like it's like there's a lot of work to get there, right? You could start to see the glimmers of it. However, within that season, you have the moment of the full moon in the sign of Leo here. You have the place of the sun, right? Where the sun is in the place of Saturn. The sun that likes to radiate and bring forth light and be authentic is right now in the place of Saturn, the place of time, of limitations, the place of death and decay, right? So where the sun is in a place that might feel contradictory to what the light likes to do. It likes to emit, it likes to shine a light on something. That's not what Saturn is doing. We have this moment where the moon is in the place of the sun, right? So within the darkness, we have this place of illumination here. So the full moon in the sign of Leo is a great place and a great time to bring in the place of the sun. So we're looking at authenticity. We're looking at being able to at expression. We're looking at full truth coming through here. We're looking at heart-centered radiating energy, starting from within our own being, our own individual being, and radiating outward. The individual focus of Leo is a big counterpart to the group collective focus that we find in the sign of Aquarius. It's okay to be individual. It's okay to be, I'll think outside of the box a little bit here, but everybody has to be able to think outside of the box. And if one person can't think outside of the box, then like nobody's going to be able to have that space, right? That's kind of the energy that we can sometimes find in the sign of Aquarius. There is an awakening stirring in Aquarius season when we get the full moon in the sign of Leo that awakens something within us, right? It awakens a light, it awakens a warmth. It brings in a moment for self-care and self-nurturing and being able to look into your own heart space and find what is within you, within your own being, rather than maybe what is best for the collective or what is best for the group. Or, it's maybe not having to look towards that ideal airy space and being able to just be authentically you within your own passion, your own creativity, and your own rawness, right? The light shines a light on everything, not just certain parts of anything, right? So when the sun is shining, you can see everything. You can see the good, you can see the bad, you can see the indifferent here. I also see this awakening and this stirring with this full moon in the sign of Leo because this is the lunation that is going to bring us into the eclipses that happen across the Aquarius Leo axis here. So there's something that is being awakening, even though we're not going to get a Leo eclipse until we go back into Leo season, right? And we get the new moon we get the solar eclipse in the sign of Leo. Next month, well, this month now, happy February 1st. This month in February, the new moon is going to be in the sign of Aquarius. So it's the first eclipse across that axis there. So there is, even though it's not in the sign of Leo per se, it's activating that axis. And then later on this year, the nodes are going to move into Leo and Aquarius. And we're going to start to get more of those eclipses here. So there's a lot of stimulation and a lot of shifting of direction here, right? And I'm thinking that a lot of it can come from within our own being, within our own space here. And I think the full moon in the sign of Leo is initiating that for us, because in the sign of Leo, there's also a level of wanting everybody else to be able to shine. However, I think in the sign of Aquarius, there's much more of the tendency to maybe put the individual at a little lower priority level than the group, right? Where it's the other way around in the sign of Leo. It's, I need to be able to fill my own cup in order to be able to lift others up, right? Or I need to be able to stand up tall on my own 2 feet to be able to help somebody else stand up, which is not untrue, right? If you're down on the ground too, then it's a little difficult to help somebody up onto their feet. Like, you can just think of that physically. So this stirring, this awakening, this things shifting, wondering about it shifting within us, and maybe that's a process that we've been going through, and now that shift within us is starting to come out in some way, right? It's starting to express itself. You can see that, I think, even just you know, there's always an opposition between the sun and the moon within the full moon, right? But this full moon in the sign of Leo, where Leo is not afraid to stand on the stage by itself, it is literally standing by itself right now with the full moon in the sign of Leo, right? Like it is, think of the sign of Aquarius as being the audience, right? That is where all of the planets are. So you have like the parental figure with the sun there in the sign of Aquarius, and then you have the other personal planets that are sprinkled around it, and they are all looking at the moon, right? They are all looking at the moon, which is our emotions, right? Is what we feel with inside of us here, and then lighting that up, right? Lighting that up in a solar type way. The card that came up today was the moon. However, it was in reverse, which I thought was kind of interesting because we're talking about the full moon in the place of the sun, right? We're talking about the sun when it's in detriment in the sign of Aquarius, and we're talking about the moon being in the place of the sun. So it's like there's this way where the sun is depressed, literally in the chart and in the sky. However, there's a illumination of solar energy at the same time here. So it's a little bit contradictory. The full moon, this card coming through on the full moon made me smile, but when I saw that it was in the reverse position, I had to think about it a little bit more, right? So if we think of the moon representing our environment, our emotions, our conscious, subconscious, the things that we are processing, when the moon card comes up, there's emotions that are at hand, right? There's different situations and scenarios and environments that we are finding ourselves in that are reaching a little bit deeper into our being, into our psyche. When it's in the reverse position, those things have served their purpose, or we are letting them fall away, or maybe we are resisting them in some sort of way, right? It's not coming to us in the clear path. So if Uranus is starting to move forward, if Venus and Mercury are moving into the visible evening star phase here, maybe it's that things that we have been working through, things that we have been processing, if there have been emotions and processes and conscious and subconscious or unconscious explorations that have been had, maybe we can put those aside if they've been limiting us in some sort of way, right? Because often when you have lots of emotions or lots of things that you're working through and processing, it's hard to see, it's hard to feel much more than that, right? And your emotions either start to overwhelm and they start to swell, or, you know, some of us have a tendency to kind of push them aside and maybe, start to feel, in its worst case, start to feel a little bit numb to the things that are going on here. But if you're able to put those things aside for a moment and you're able to feel the weight off of your shoulders, then you can start to feel what is beneath that surface, right? What is really within you, without those other things that you are working through. You kind of get more to the core of yourself. There's an illumination that is happening there. It's very, very solar-like. But those limits that can happen based on those emotions or those things that we are processing or whatever, if they have less hold, then there can be things that can awaken within us, right? We can awaken ourselves. That brings us back to that Leo full moon here. So I'm seeing this reversed moon card here as an invitation to let go, to release, and allow yourself to really feel into your own authenticity, right? Feel into what is awakening within you. And it doesn't have to be that it's not a collective thing, and it doesn't have to do with others, and it doesn't have to be necessarily selfish. But, maybe this is a moment to pause and to look within our own being and find our own light. Right? So maybe this is not necessarily the time to reflect the light, but to find our own light within us with the moon card in the reverse position here. And I think that can be very telling of the full moon in the sign of Leo. So I thought the reversed moon card was a very interesting way to illustrate the full moon in the sign of Leo here, right? It's the full moon, however, it's in the place of the sun. In the sun can awaken too, right? We wake when the sun rises. So the sun can awaken within its own space. So the awakening of the full moon here happening in the place of the sun. So what I think I really want to do is feel into our own being and feel into our own body. Yes, we have the full moon that is coming through here today, so there is a height of energy. There is a height of physical and emotional energy and situational energy. But really, I see the focus of this week being Uranus, the Awakener here, the Liberator, the rebellion, right? The change, the shocker coming through here. Because this is our last pass. This is the last time we're going to have Uranus shifting to go direct in the sign of Taurus. We have, a couple more months of this going on here. So the awakening is stirring and is stimulating to bring it into whatever has been coming into its final form, its final days in the sign of Taurus here. And it's Taurus, so it's the earth sign, right? It's about embodying, it's about feeling within. So what I really want to do is feel into our body with our senses and our meditation, and really just get an awareness for our own being and for our own body. But get that awareness from a mental space, right? So we're bringing in our mental awareness to our physical body here. And that's the square from Aquarius, from the air sign, to the sign of Taurus here. And then when we feel into our being and when we really ground ourselves down into our body, that's really what I feel like I want to do, is just really ground ourselves into our being and into our body, because Uranus can be unpredictable, right? It can sweep us off of our feet really, really quickly. So staying grounded is super important. But when we're really grounded within our body and within our being, and our mental awareness can be stable within that, you can really reach a creative and purifying state. And that takes us back to the fire sign of Leo. So the environment and the situation that we can find ourselves in this space. So if you followed me with all of that. All right, so this is going to be a lovely grounding meditation here. And the Awakener stirs. The Awakener stirs as we ground into our being, right? As we ground into our body. What can we feel stirring within us? Maybe we already know. Maybe you already know exactly what has been stirring within you. But maybe sitting with it for a little while will bring you some lovely, yummy space to be in for a little bit here too. So, all right. I'm going to go ahead and pull our intention down here. And we have our intentional candle. As always, it is white, purity, cleansing, a blank slate for you to bring whatever you need to into this meditation, right? I say the Awakener stirs, but what is awakening within each and every one of us is different, right? It can be within us. It can feel more internal. It can feel more external. It can be in a certain area of our lives, right? So it's different for all of us. Some of us are going to feel it much louder than others based on placements that we have in our chart. All right, I'm going to go ahead and light the intentional candle. And as I do so, I'm going to recite the intentional phrase, and feel free to say it with me in any capacity that you're able to. All right, light the intentional candle. Flame ignites. As the flame ignites, it begins to grow. As the flame grows, so does our intention. The Awakener stirs. The Awakener stirs. All right, if you haven't already, find yourself a nice comfortable position to be in. Seated, laying down, whatever works for you. I like to sit up on a cushion or a pillow. I have a blanket nearby because it is still cold here, not as cold as it was, but whatever you need to make yourself comfortable. And then when you're ready to do so, if you're ready to do so, go ahead and close your eyes. If you're not ready to close your eyes, that's okay. You don't have to. Attempt to soften your gaze. Perhaps you kind of look down towards your nose. Let your eyes fall where they would fall naturally. Eyes begin to rest. They begin to relax. They begin to soften. And maybe at some point they begin to close. If they do not close throughout this entire meditation, that is also okay. All right. As you start to settle into your body and as you begin to soften, your attention may naturally come to your breath. If it doesn't, we'll go ahead and turn our attention towards our breath now. As we turn towards the breath, we start to notice the breath. We start to notice the rhythm, the pace, the frequency, anything else that we notice. As you begin to notice your breath, you may almost automatically start to pass judgments about the breath. Maybe you start to change or alter the breath in some sort of way. I'm going to encourage you to refrain from making any changes or alterations to the breath for just a moment. As you focus on your breath, I encourage you to see yourself as a passenger. See yourself as a passenger to the breath, riding alongside it, simply along for the ride. So here you are observing, noticing what you notice. But don't find yourself in a position to make any changes or alterations. You find yourself in a position to observe, to notice, and to take in what you notice. You notice the rise and the fall of your chest. You notice what your shoulders do as you breathe in and breathe out. You notice how full your lungs feel after the inhale, and you notice how relaxed your body feels after the exhale. When we sit with the breath in this way, without any expectations, without any changes or alterations, we find ourselves in a space of honoring the breath. When you honor the breath, you honor the path that has brought you to this moment. Bringing awareness to the breath. Helps bring our awareness to our physical body. We start to notice whatever we notice within our being, shifting and changing. After taking a moment to sit with your breath, I now invite you to start to deepen the inhales and the exhales. Just as when a planet is changing direction, slowing down, stationing, shifting course, it's a slow shifting process. Here, we slowly begin to shift our breath. Allow yourself to have just a small goal here. Allow your only goal to be that each inhale brings in slightly more air slightly more energy than the inhale before it. And conversely, on the exhale, allow your only goal to be that exhale releases slightly more air, slightly more energy, leaving you slightly more relaxed than the exhale that came before it. Slowly, gently, and softly, you feel the inhales and the exhales swell and deepen as you move through this process. Notice what you notice within your being. There is an awareness that is awakening within you as you cultivate and deepen the relationship with your breath. Energy that stirs, energy that moves. You start to see the breath moving in and out of your being. See it however it shows up for you. Perhaps there's a color or a consistency. Is it solid or misty? Does it seem tangible or ethereal? As you start to visualize the breath, on the inhale, you visualize it moving all the way down your being to the base of your spine. And then as you exhale, you feel it coming up from the base, moving up and out, whichever direction that it takes. Your next breath in, the inhale comes in from the top of your being and it slowly comes down your spine, down to the base of your spine, grounding down into the ground. It reaches so far deep into the earth that you wonder if it ever even reaches an ending point. It feels like it just keeps moving and keeps exploring, keeps grounding deeper and deeper and deeper. Tethering you to the ground, holding you to Mother Earth, but not in a limiting way, but a supportive way. A space where you could feel firm, grounded, strong. So firm and strong that there is a courageousness and a bravery, and perhaps even a curiosity. You are in a space that feels so grounded and so held that you feel capable of moving in ways that you've never moved before. you start to feel your body alive and awake in ways that maybe you've never felt before. You feel the physical, tangible space that you are sitting on. You feel the material, you feel the earth below you. You notice all of the parts of your being that it touches. Maybe it's your toes, maybe it's your legs, maybe it's your hips or your back, perhaps your head if you're laying down. And you feel where your body is physically touching surfaces. You start to feel the clothes that are on your being. You start to feel the materials and what they are made out of. You feel your clothes touching your skin and interacting with your body in a very physical, tangible way. You start to be aware of all of the hair that is on your body. The hair on your head, perhaps the hair on your face, or your ears, or your nose, your eyelashes. From the top of your head all the way down to your feet, you start to notice the hairs on your body physically touching you, but reaching outward towards the ethers. You start to notice any products that you may use on your body, any lotions, any soaps or creams or salves. Feeling an awareness of your being, a heightened awareness. And you move a little bit deeper, and you start to feel your skin, the outer surface of your body. In the healthcare system, we say that your skin is your largest organ, the integument system. It covers every inch of your being. You start to feel your skin protecting and holding your body, holding your being, protecting the physicality of this body. Within the skin, you begin to feel your muscles throughout your body. These muscles move your body. They give you strength. They give you stability. They give you form and they give you function. You notice the muscles of your body. You feel the fibers. Each muscle is a bundle of individual muscle fibers, and within those muscle fibers are yet smaller branches. And getting down to the building blocks of your body. Within your muscles and throughout your body, there are pathways that blood and fluids, hormones and nutrients move across. your circulatory system, made of veins and arteries, and much smaller subsections. Flows the fluids of life throughout your body, throughout your being, nourishing you, oxygenating your organs, keeping them moving, keeping them running. Fuel is the function. Communication occurs through the bloodstream. We move a little bit deeper and we find the skeletal system. We find our bones. We find our structure. We find the deepest layer within each of our limbs. The bones is the base of which our body is built, aiding in movement, structure, form. The basis of what the rest of the body is built around. And the bones are more than just physical forms and structures. There's processes happening within the bones, within the bone marrow, that are deeper than form and structure, deeper than holding it all together. Each layer of our physical being has a deeper level of understanding that is available. Our skin is alive. We see it as protective. We see it as holding everything in. However, there is a normal flora or a normal level of bacteria that is on our skin. We see our muscles as builders of strength, of endurance and ability, but maybe we don't know the deeper functions that happen within the muscle fibers, and the neurotransmitters and the chemicals that are involved. We think of our bloodstream as simply carrying blood to and from different parts of the body. However, when you look closer, there is a whole transport system and a process that is happening deeper. Our bones are more than just the framework and the structure of our beings. Blood cell production happens here. We think of our bones as hard and strong, which they are. However, there is a spongy portion to the inside of the bones. When we look at these components of our being individually, there's an awareness that awakens, awareness of the self. Our bodies are miraculous in the many functions that happen simultaneously within our being. Whether or not we are aware of it, our body keeps moving, keeps flowing, and keeps functioning, allowing us to experience the world internally and externally. These different layers and components of the body that we have explored, feel them cohesively coming together as one. Feel them tethering down within your being, down in the deepest depths of your body, of your soul, and of your spirit. And feel what is awakening within you. Perhaps it's simply an awareness of your body. Perhaps it's a task or a desire. Perhaps your mental processing or your mental capacity is changing. Uranus has been in the retrograde period for months. The inward focus, the internalization of changes and the processing within has been occurring. However, as Uranus stations and moves into direct motion, perhaps you can take that awareness from within and bring it outward in a positive, productive, and helpful form. So take this awareness from within your being, feeling it moving and extending through all the layers of your body and of your being, and extending outward from your body as far in every direction as it can go. Perhaps you start to feel your hands moving spatially around you. Perhaps you feel the energy moving, and that is enough. When things stir and awaken within us, they can easily feel like they want to take us out of our body. We want to experience, we want to move, we want to go. However, anywhere we go, anything we experience, we take this body with us, right? This body is always here in the material world. And even if we have experiences that feel like they take us out of our body, we tether ourselves right back in and we return to this vessel, to this physical being. We embody this life from this space. Without this body, there would not be this life. Without the physical material world, there would not be this life. And that can be an awakening within its own right. whatever is stirring, whatever is moving, whatever is awakening within you, wherever you have felt it within. Perhaps now through the awareness of the physical space that you hold, you can take that energy and move it outward, whatever that means for you. The Awakener stirs. Happy full moon in the sign of Leo, in the place of the sun, the place of authentic expression, the place of allowing our own individual light to shine and to be heard, right? Physically embodying Uranus moving forward, Uranus moving direct in the sign of Taurus. This is our last push. Whatever those shifts are, whatever those changes are, this is the time to make them, to cement them in, to make them solid, right? Uranus shifts and changes, moves things, but Taurus is an earth sign. So the things that have been shifting, the things that have been moving, they may feel like the ground has been shaking, right? The tectonic plates have been moving and shifting. So the things that are going to come about are going to be solid, are going to not stand the test of time in the way that Saturn does, but things that are immovable, right? Things that have solid form to them, just like the structure of our body. All right. Thank you, everybody. I will see you back here next Sunday for next week's meditation. Intention will be out late Friday, and there will be a weekly video out next Saturday. So I hope everybody has a wonderful, empowering, enlightening week and can move in ways that you have been wanting to move and have been wanting to take the steps, but for some reason it just hasn't come. Okay. All right. Happy full moon, happy days, happy week, happy February. Take care, and yeah, take care. Take care of yourself and take care of each other. I think that's probably much needed right now. So, all right. Bye, everybody. See you next week.